September 20th, 2016. Conversation with the police department after the murder of Terence Crutcher down in Oklahoma. I walk into the lobby of the police department. I'm waiting behind a guy who is reporting an accident. That guy leaves, and then this is the portion of my conversation with the receptionist. Let's take a listen.
Hi, my name is Jamal Shipman. Yep. I live over, and I just want to make myself known to this office because I don't want to be another name on the newspaper as somebody who was pulled over and complied with police orders and ends up shot for doing what I'm supposed to be doing and just getting pulled over for looking the way I do.
So pulled over by an officer?
No, I was not. But what I'm doing is I'm reading the news and I'm seeing people who look like me getting pulled over time and time again, doing what the police say, and all right.
She said, let me get a supervisor, because I don't have nothing to do with that. She wasn't trying to hear me. She wasn't trying to get into the back and forth about community police relations, but that's fine. So anyway, I sit there for a good while, and the police chief, who's on duty,
with a supervisor,
comes in and talks to me.
Come in, sir. Great. Thanks for meeting with me.
No problem.
I appreciate it. I'm Jamal Shipman.
Well, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I live over on, I frequent the neighborhood, and I drive around through here a lot, and so I felt the need, after being confronted with story after story of police-community interactions, of making myself known to the police in my neighborhood, because I certainly do not want to be the next name in the headlines of someone who gets pulled over, complies with whatever the police officer is saying, and for some reason, because I'm a bad dude or perceived to be reaching for something, get my life taken away. There's people in the community who care about me, and it would be a real shame if that were the case.
I'm not trying to die
As
here.
would be the same if somebody put myself in that type of situation. It would be a shame
Blue
for
Lives
my
Matter.
family as well. So,
Check this one out.
okay.
Absolutely.
So as long as we are on the same page with that,
We're on the same page. You care about my life, I care about your life.
some of your
If we really need to get that out of the way for you to hear my concerns, it's fine.
just listen to the officer's instructions.
Now he's telling me about how to comply.
Until obviously
Don't reach for
told to
anything.
do so. Just
Right. So the issues of compliance.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. And I've been watching these tapes and these videos and trying to understand where that person went wrong, and then what gets done at the end of it is, some kind of criminal history, or he seemed as though he were, and all these things. And it just seems very, very counterintuitive to me.
Okay.
So that's my question.
Okay. And we have all situations that we deal with are completely unique and different, and I can't give you a cookie cutter answer. So that's the best that I can give you. I can't give you a cookie cutter answer as far as what situation you're talking about and what situation that an officer would respond in either an appropriate or an inappropriate manner.
Okay. So let's talk about a situation.
Let's talk about
a situation with Terence Crutcher.
Over in Oklahoma.
Are you familiar with this situation? All right. Well,
he's not familiar with the situation.
To understand.
Okay.
I said I feel like you should be familiar with the situation.
Black man, 40 years old, pastor of a church, has a broken down vehicle in the middle of the road. People call in saying there's a man running away from his vehicle. He keeps saying it's going to explode. It's a scary situation. Police officers, please arrive. All right, fine. Police officers show up. The man, as far as we can see in the video, has his hands straight up in the air, walking towards the vehicle, back to the officers, and the officers are already, guns drawn, walking him back to the car. I'm sure something might have transpired between the time that we didn't see. However, what we do see, hands up, hands on the car, shot fired, taser fired,
in his side,
laying dead in the middle of the street. You have helicopter video, dash cam video, radio recording of the whole thing. And so, in a situation like that, how could this person could have possibly be in fear for their life, or think that killing this individual is the answer to this situation?
One had a gun, the other had a taser.
It should be a tasing or a tackle of some kind and put in cuffs if you feel threatened. But to take it to the point of shooting him in the chest and then letting him bleed out on the street, he was alive for a good few minutes. But you see them circle the car, have guns drawn into the car, you know, clearing the area, and the dude is dying in the street. So this is where I'm coming from. And I think this is where a lot of people are right now, especially with the events over the summer. I'm sure you're aware of some of the events.
At least he was aware of some of the things happening over the summer. At least that much.
And Missouri and all these situations, right? And so to acknowledge, you know, I am in no way a fan of what happened in Dallas with the police officer shootings. That's obviously not the answer. That's not right. And to your first comment,
that's where he's at. That's where he's at. He needs me to know that I value his life too. So I gave that.
However, there is a very clear power dynamic when police come onto the scene. You have firearms, you have license to kill, or license to use force and all that. So isn't there a greater responsibility to be a little more diligent in your decision to use force, or at least know for a fact that taking this person's life is absolutely necessary?
Absolutely.
It should be, and I know that as far as the standard that every one of our officers is, that to take someone's life is a last resort. That's something that I don't want to take home with me, no matter whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Oh, you don't want to kill people?
Put you in that situation, and
I bet
100%
nobody wants to kill anyone.
Life, which is technically not a normal thing to do, no matter what. So
I agree, and I think the concern is that it's becoming so normal.
It's becoming
that
normal.
We're hearing about it almost every few weeks here. We have a situation like this where I think reasonable people say it actually wasn't the last resort.
Yeah.
You have hands up in certain situations. You have him on the floor. You have him in a chokehold. You have there all these scenarios where there was just no need. There was no need, and I'm wondering if maybe the reasoning is an added level of hyped up fear for your life and making assumptions about who these people are that you're encountering, or is it just like day after day encountering really awful people and just kind of having the assumption that
everyone
these
is
people
like
are when you approach?
Like I said, I can't give you the catch-all answer. I know that obviously after the Dallas incident, officers' awareness was up to very high level, and rightfully so, regretfully, based on that situation. But we have to take it upon ourselves to know that each situation that we deal with is unique. Each officer that you deal with is unique. They're their own person and their own individual. Although at times they come across like we're one complete, standard, same type, everyone's different. Every officer perceives something different.
Every officer perceives something different and comprehends something different. Is his rationale.
In reference to what happened in Oklahoma, I can't tell you everything that happened beforehand. I can't tell you because most of the time, regretfully, there's not 90, but half the time showing you the entire situation. So we're left asking questions as well. Well, what happened prior? What happened during? And then what led to an officer's perception that they believe that their life may have been in jeopardy or fear for that. Each unique officer's perception, and that's the thing, because that's what takes the process is bringing it to that level.
Golly,
no standard black and white that
scary.
This is
no standard black and white what's supposed to happen, but
it's taking the whole totality of the situation, processing it, and hopefully coming out with the right resolution.
Sure, hopefully. And I'll leave with these 2 points. I think one is that's disturbing as a concept,
it's
right?
Disturbing as a concept.
Depending on the officer that I just might happen to get in whatever situation, that's so heavily dependent on personal perspective and judgment and bias. And I understand that's the reality. I just feel like, given the power dynamic, that's the part that's the
important. Police officers
there's a very clear responsibility bestowed upon police officers by the community to hold themselves to a much higher standard of I felt scared. Right? I think there just needs to be a lot more of calm, objective assessment in a given situation. To the point that I feel like some of the scenarios we've seen thus far are inexcusable.
Inexcusable. Here we go. And here's where I dropped the racial
use of force
perspective that I have.
I just
on it.
It befuddles me that shoot to kill seems to be some officers go to, right? Like this whole, officer on the beat is the judge, jury, and
executioner on the street
is just unacceptable. And I know no one walks around thinking that, but you've seen some scenarios where it's just awful police behavior in that respect. There's always a story, whether they are taking drugs or they are in a heated domestic abuse situation and they're hopped up on emotions. I know you know all this, but I feel the necessity to reiterate that none of those things, even if they do have a priors, even if they do, behave in certain ways, it doesn't mean they deserve to die.
They deserve to die.
I personally, and you might not agree with this, but I personally believe that there is a racial slant to this. I do think that there are certain white suspects and perpetrators who get a little bit more of a benefit of the doubt. You see constant stories and videos of white people doing more outrageous things, and yet police officers show restraint. They show,
calm,
and
sir,
for some reason,
calm down.
When it's a black suspect, that I sense that there's a little bit more anxiety, a little more quickness to take care of the situation in some really awful ways.
That's right.
That's my opinion.
However,
across the board, I think there just needs to be an understanding that I would hope officers approach the situation intending to de-escalate and save everybody's life in that situation.
That's how I have to reach them. All lives matter. So, my phone died again, but it just ends with some pleasantries as it needs to. I was a little bit frustrated by this conversation, but I am impressed that he was at least able to hear what I had to say. I was anticipating a little bit more of an antagonistic back and forth with him. I get that he's the PR guy, right? He's wanting to bring down the temperature of the room a little bit and kind of smooth things over and get me feeling good, which I had to give to him in order to quasi get through, but I think I made my points. I think I made it very clear. I think that police officers should arrive on a scene in order to de-escalate a situation and save everybody's life in that scenario. The officer, the suspect, and the perceived victim or whoever else is on the scene. There's just no need. It's so over the top to shoot to kill. And these videos over the last few months have just been depressing, upsetting, and put people in a state of despair that just is so palpable, Like, I was walking out of work today watching these videos, and I had to look around and reassess for a second. I had to be like, what the heck am I doing? If it doesn't even matter that I could be a pastor of a church, I could be the father of a 4-year-old girl, I could be the 17-year-old son of a perfectly upstanding set of parents. I could be trying to make a dollar bill selling cigarettes on the street. I could have Skittles in my pocket. What the heck does it matter if in an instant, according to this officer, their judgment, because everybody's different, everybody has a different perspective on what's happening, that can be what decides whether or not I live or die. And I am more likely to be put in a situation where my life is at stake than my white counterparts in this country. How's that fair? How is that all lives matter?